Welcome to this week's class on Chasidus. Today is a very, very special day for us here, as it's Erev Lag Bomer. In Eretz Yisrael already, it's Lag Bomer. Lag Bomer, as we know, is the passing of Rabbi Yitzchok. And Rabbi Yitzchok said on his day of passing, we should all be joyous, we should be happy, and we should celebrate. And there's no greater celebration, and there's no greater way to connecting to Rabbi Yitzchok by learning one of his teachings, and especially the way it's explained by the Rebbe. So there's a famous teaching of Rabbi Yitzchok on Psalm 133, Kuf Lamed Gimel, on the verse where it says, Shireham'ales Ladod, Hine Matoy from Na'im, how good and how sweet it is, Sheves Achim Gam Yachad. And we'll see in the Chasidic discourse, the Rebbe brings this teaching and the way the Rashbi explains it, and the Rebbe adds beautiful insight, and we'll appreciate and understand the whole chapter of Psalms in a very, very beautiful spiritual way, like you probably never appreciated or understood it before. Also, we're going to learn very, very powerful ideas in this Chasidic discourse about the whole idea of blessings. A lot of people always have questions how blessings work, and how prayers work, and how Torah study, and about the importance of studying mysticism, and about unity, our relationship with Hashem. Very, very beautiful Chasidic discourse that the Rebbe gave in Tafshin Chav Beis, which is 58 years ago, and it was actually certified and edited by the Rebbe in Tafshin Nun 30 years ago. So the Chasidic discourse is based on, as we mentioned before, on the verse Shireham'ales Ladod, Hine Matoy v'manoyim Sheves Achim Gam Yachad. And the Rebbe quotes from his father-in-law, the previous Rebbe, that he asks a question. What does it say in the verse? Sheves Achim, that the brothers are sitting together. So if you're sitting, so why does the verse say Gam also Yachad in oneness? Seemingly it's redundant. And the previous Rebbe explains that Sheves Achim is a reference to male and female, Chasin and Kala. And Sheves Achim is referring to the first stage in the relationship, the way they're only engaged, they're not married yet. Sheves Achim. Gam Yachad is once they get married, so now they become really, really one. And Gam Yachad is where the relationship gets upgraded into from engagement to marriage. Then the previous Rebbe quotes from the Zohar, and the Zohar says a different insight to the same verse. And the Zohar says Sheves Achim is a reference to the relationship between Hashem and the Jewish people. Gam Yachad is not only the way the Jewish people exist on a spiritual level, but even the way the Jewish people exist on a physical level. Down here, the relationship with Hashem is one and unified. And Rebbe says the truth is they're really connected, because this whole idea that we have Chasin and Kala that are connected it's an extension from the Chasin and Kala Lamaila above, which is Hashem and the Jewish people, and that creates that unity. So it's really saying the same idea, thus obviously on different spiritual levels. But the Rebbe goes on to say that the truth is, even though we mentioned that it's Chasin and Kala, it's the Hashem and the Jewish people, but the simple definition is that Achim, Sheves Achim, is referring to brothers, sisters, the Jewish people getting along. So the Rebbe says there's two different levels in getting along. There's Sheves Achim, where we get along, but we have relationships, but it's me and you. But then there's Gam Yachad, we all get along, we're literally as one. And based on that, the Rebbe says that how are we able to be one? Because when we connect to the idea that Hashem and us are one, and we really connect to that idea that we're one with Hashem, we're not two separate entities, we're really one, Gam Yachad, that will allow us to have true love and friendship one with the other. We really become one. And based on this, the Rebbe will explain later on the Chasidic discourse what the verse in Psalms, the second verse, where it says, Kashemen hatoiv al harosh, like this good oil on the head, which goes down, drips down on the beard of Aaron, which goes down onto the amidot and the emotions. But again, in detail, later on in the Chasidic discourse. So the Rebbe begins off and he says, and he brings a piece from the Zohar. And the Zohar quotes the famous story, and this is possibly the main reason why the Rebbe is saying this Chasidic discourse on Lag Bomer and was edited on Lag Bomer, because the stories about Rabbi Yitzchok. The stories was there's a Jewish people needed to have rain. There was no rain. There was a drought. So they came to the Rashbi. So the Rashbi went ahead and he took out the book of Psalms, and he said a Kabbalistic insight into the book of into a verse in a chapter in the book of Psalms, this specific verse where it says Hine matov noim shevas achim yachad, and the Rashbi taught a Kabbalistic teaching, which we're going to learn later, the teaching a little later on, and all of a sudden rain came down, which is awesome. Can you imagine? We got a problem. You walk into your rabbi, he pulls out a book, he tells you a Kabbalistic teaching, and all the problems go away. That's awesome. So that's the story in the Zohar. So the Rebbe says, we all know the question on this, it's the simple question. Because we all know it's brought down in many places, especially in Shulchan Aruch, that what happens, God forbid, if there's a drought and there's no rain. So we know that we add certain blessings in the Shemona Esrei. There's certain fasts that you fast. There's actually, specifically, you add 6 blessings in the Shemona Esrei. There's actually 13 fasts that you fast. And we all know the famous story with Choni HaMagal. When there was no rain, he made a circle, and he stood in the circle, and he prayed. A lot of effort went into it. And here the Rashbi doesn't do anything. He doesn't add in extra prayers. He doesn't go ahead and tell people to fast. He doesn't make no circles. He sits where he is. And what seems to us, without any tremendous effort, he goes ahead and gives a Kabbalistic teaching on this verse, and all of a sudden the rain comes down. So questions, what is that all about? So the Rebbe explains as follows. He says, why is it, what did we just say? That when there's a tremendous need for rain, so what do you have to do? You have to add 6 blessings, you have to fast, a lot of effort goes into it. Why is that? So the Rebbe explains, because basically, what's the whole idea of prayer? Prayer is that we are making tremendous spiritual efforts. We're opening up our heart. We're pouring out our soul. We're turning to God. In Kabbalah, the world of Kabbalah, that's called milmata l'mayla, which means from down here, we're reaching out to Hashem. Now, normally we do it every day in prayer services. It's always milmata l'mayla. But now, when you really want something which is not there, there's been a drought. There hasn't been any rain, so you have to put in extra effort. And when you put in the extra effort, and there's an expression that says "L'masi yadecha tichseif," when you put in effort into something, Hashem pays back. So when you put in the effort in prayer, then it comes down. So that makes sense why, when you're coming to pray and you want something special, you have to put extra effort into it, an extra blessing in terms of rain or fasting, or obviously more kavanot, just in general, more meditation. That will cause tremendous blessings. Now, but on the other hand, the Rashbi didn't do that. He just pulled out a Psalms, taught us some Kabbalistic teachings, and it came down. So the Rebbe explains, because what do we say? Tefillah, how does tefillah work? It's milmata l'mayla. You put the effort in, and the tremendous blessing comes down. Torah, on the other hand, the Torah is from Hashem. We didn't write the Torah. All we do is we open up and we study Torah. Torah spiritually is called a gift, milmayla, a gift from Hashem, lamata. So since Torah comes from Hashem, it's not our initial effort. It's a gift from Hashem. We're studying. But what are we studying? We're studying Torah Hashem. So spiritually it's called milmayla lamata. Therefore you don't have to put any extra effort. Take out a chumash, prophets, the writings, and just learn. So the effort is you're learning, but really the big effort was Hashem gave us this tremendous gift. That's why it was able to come down automatically. Now, so what happens? Rashbi, so if that's the case, why did he have to go ahead and give a special teaching? Because the Rebbe explains that what happened was like this. There's no rain. So you need and you want, there should be now a change. Because even though naturally there should be rain, all of a sudden when there's no rain, so you want there should be a change in the world. Now, so in order for there to be a change in the world, you have to put an effort. Like in Tanya it says that through prayer, and when you put effort into prayer, and special meditation into prayer, or like we mentioned before, extra blessings, or extra fasting, that causes the blessing to come down. But however, by the Rashbi, his teaching of Torah had the same quality of prayer. And because it had the same quality of prayer, it was able to affect change in the world that caused rain to come down through Torah. So here we see something really, really profound. Prayer, because it's tremendous work and tremendous effort, it causes change in the world. Torah, on the other hand, it's a gift from above, so normally it shouldn't cause change in the world, but the Torah of Rashbi was able to cause change in the world. And the question is, how is that so? Because factually, we know it's so, because we saw it work by Rashbi. But the question is, how is that so? So the Rebbe explains, based on, we know there's different ways to connect to Hashem. One way we mentioned before is through Torah. Through studying Torah. You study Hashem's Torah, you're connecting to Hashem through Torah. Then there's another way to connect to Hashem through prayer. So we have to understand the difference between Torah, the way how that works, and the way prayer works. So the Rebbe first gives his introduction to understand the way Torah and prayer works. He says, let's first try to understand the difference between, we all know, a bracha, a blessing. So a lot of times you come to someone, give me a blessing. Whether it's a simple person, a more spiritual person, and we all know it says in the Talmud that even a simple person can give you a blessing. You shouldn't look down, God forbid, any blessing from the simplest and most greatest human being. So we know there's a power of blessing. Now, what is the difference between a blessing and prayer? So again, as we mentioned before, that tefillah in the words of Kabbalah is called milmata lamayla, which means you're here, you don't have it, and you're beseeching, you're doing a lot of spiritual work, whether you meditate and you prepare yourself and you pour your heart and soul out, milmata, and then that prayer goes to Hashem. It opens up a special place in Hashem, and all of a sudden Hashem gives you tremendous gifts of whatever you need. Blessing, on the other hand, is something which is called milmayla lamata, which means we all know that Hashem, for example, gave Abraham the power to bless. What does that mean? He gave him the ability that he has the power, if someone needs something, go to Abraham and Abraham's descendants and ask them for a blessing, and they'll bless you and you'll receive what you need. Or, for example, we know that the priests were commanded to bless the Jewish people. So when you go to a priest, a Kohen, and ask him to bless you, it's Ma'ila. He has in his storage house a lot of blessings. He has a lot of opportunities to help people, and you ask him for a blessing and he blesses you. That's called Ma'ila Lamata. Now, so again, a prayer that we work on from ourselves, and Hashem showers us down with whatever we need, and when he wants to. And blessing is, it's there, and all you have to do, go ahead and command the blessing should come down. So the Rebbe says like this. So what's the difference? By a blessing, seemingly, the person giving the blessing is in a much higher place. Why? Because he has blessings. He's showering you with gifts. He's showering you with whatever you need, which is true. Prayer, tefillah la'ani, you're a poor person, have nothing. I'm beseeching you, Hashem. Hashem, help me. So the Rebbe says very simple. By a blessing, even though it's a blessing, so to speak, automatic, but nevertheless, it doesn't reach so high. It's automatic. It's a push, but it's not a major gift. However, through tefillah, through prayer, you can reach a very, very, very high place. So in other words, a simple example the Rebbe says is very simple. If you go to someone for a blessing and you ask him to bless you, as long as he has the blessing in stock, he can give it to you. And he'll give it to you and you'll have it right away. But what happens if he doesn't have it in stock? He says, oh my gosh, it was not I don't have that blessing for you. You're coming to me to ask you for this, but I don't have it. Then could he help you? He can't help you. On the other hand, the power of prayer is that you can affect something totally new. That means even though in the source there's no room for that blessing, in other words, as the Rebbe says, for example, there was a decree. There was a decree that someone should be sick. So therefore, that's what's in the cards. A blessing is not going to help you there. But through prayer, you can affect, and the quote from the Rebbe, a new hamshacha, a new drawing down of light and energy from Oir Ein Soif, from the infinite Hashem, which is higher than anything that's in store for anybody. And that's why the Rebbe says, when it comes to a prayer, it says, Yehi Ratzon. It should be the will of Hashem. What does that mean, Yehi Ratzon? That you have the power to create a new will. And again, why does that work? Because Lamasa Yadecha Tichsoif. Because we have the power, Hashem gave us the power, that if we put in Masa Yadecha, we put in the effort, we will see tremendous tremendous rewards. So in other words, through the Avodah, our Avodah, we can reach the infinite Hashem, which is higher than Hashtalshalos. So again, to recap, blessing on one hand, you come for a blessing, boom, it's available right away. But it's only available what they have. Prayer, on the other hand, you don't just walk in the shul, I'm here. No, you have to meditate, and you have to pray, and sometimes people fast, and sometimes people pour their heart out. And it's not necessarily there. But you're able to draw down blessings that did not exist. And God forbid there was a decree against you or against whoever it may be, you have the power to draw down tremendous blessings. Now, so that is the difference between what? Prayer and blessing. So the Rebbe says, this power that prayer has, that it can draw down new blessings that doesn't even exist, because you're going into Ein Sof, which is higher than Hishtalshalos, and you can draw down powerful new blessing that never really existed before. So the same thing happens by learning Torah, or for example, by a rabbi that gives a psak din, a ruling, that you can literally, through the ruling, you can change reality in the world. In other words, Rebbe says you can make a davar chadash, which does not even exist in the world. Now, why is that? And Rabbi explains very simple. Because we all know that Torah is higher than the source of the world. You have the world, Olam, but Torah is much higher. And through Torah, you're able to draw down power and blessings from a high place that doesn't even exist in this world. So in other words, like this. In Torah, you have two components. On one hand, you have the power of, just like prayer, that you can draw down a new energy, but also, you can also do, it also has the power of blessings, that it comes automatically. So in other words, like this, there's pros and cons in prayer, and there's pros and cons in a blessing. The pro in a blessing, boom, you got it right away. The con is, you can only get what's available. The pro in a prayer is, you can draw down blessings that did not exist and don't exist. The con is, you have to work hard for it. And it's not automatic. Torah, the Rebbe says, has both. One hand, it's automatic. But on the other hand, it's also can draw down brand new blessings. And as the Rebbe says, that we know, it says, Man Malka Rabbanan. Who are the kings today in the Jewish world? Are the rabbis. Why? Because when they learn Torah, how do they learn Torah? One of the key ingredients of being a rabbi is being a God-fearing human being. In Kabbalistic language, it's called having bittul, having humility. Because what happens is, when you're teaching Torah with humility, so if you really have humility, who's teaching the Torah? Not you. If it's humility, if you don't exist, I'm just sharing what Hashem has to say. So who's really teaching? Hashem is the one teaching. The Rebbe says, the Melech himself, Melech Malchi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is the one that's giving off the ruling. And since Hashem is the one that's giving off the ruling, so then it comes brand new and it comes automatically. And based on this, the Rebbe explains, that's why we have many, many stories of a Tana and a Moira, people from the Mishnah and from the Talmud, that through their learning Torah, again, because they had the component that they were able to draw down brand new blessings, and it was automatically because they learned with humility, like the famous story the Rebbe quotes, or Pinchas ben Yair, where he came to the water and he said, hey, split the water. And guess what? Since when does water split? It happened, huge miracle, when the Jewish people left Egypt. But for him it split. Why? Because again, he was coming from a place of Torah with humility. So therefore it happened, even though it's not natural, and it happened right away. Which basically affected a real change in the world, which is the power of prayer. but it also happened based on his command, which is basically the power of blessing. Now, so again, so what do we see from here? So you have blessing, which happens automatic. You have prayer, which makes a change in the world. But then you have what? Torah, which has both. What it means it has both? It has the aspect where it happens automatic, and it has the aspect that what? That it changes, it's able to change the world. So the Rebbe says, 1 second. So seemingly, Torah is much greater than prayer. Sit and study Torah all day. Why? Because prayer, it accomplishes a prayer and accomplishes everything. But the Rebbe says the truth is, there is a power in prayer over Torah. Why is that? Because what is Torah? Torah, we know, is Chachma. Yes, Chachma of Torah. Now, Chachma, we know, is one of the Sfirot. Even on the high level of Sfirot, it's still a Sfirah. Oyer Ein Sof is the infinite life. Now, when a person prays, where do you draw down new change in the world? Where do you draw down blessings? From where? From Oyer Ein Sof, from the infinite light. When a person learns Torah, where are you drawing down light from? Chachma, which is one of the Sfirot. How could you compare Chachma to Oyer Ein Sof? There's not even a comparison. Chachma is one Sfira, and Oyer Ein Sof is the infinite light. So in other words, like this. So through Chachma, through Torah, you're only able to go to Chachma. Through Tefillah, on the other hand, you're able to go to Oyer Ein Sof. And that's why, through prayer, you can literally get, and I'll quote, a Ratzon Chadash, a brand new will, which comes from the infinite light, which is much higher than Torah. Now, however, so that is generally between Torah and prayer. So you see that prayer is much higher. But here's the novelty of the Rashbi. When they came to the Rashbi, it wasn't in store to have Torah. It wasn't in the place of Chachma that the way the other rabbis, they found a place in Torah that they can reveal this blessing to come down to the world. They needed rain. There was a Gzeira, there was a decree. So the power of the Torah of Rashbi was that he was able to draw down rain, which is a huge, huge miracle. In other words, all the miracles that we find in the Talmud was basically through Chachmas Torah. They were able to get that through the level of Chachma. However, the Rashbi, when he said the Torah, and there was no room to have rain. However, he was able to reach through his Torah to Oyer Ein Sof, which is higher than the normal Torah, which is on the level of Tefillah. Now, so the question is very simple. So we have like this. We have blessing. Blessing, basically, as we said, if it's there, you can have it. Prayer, on the other hand, what's prayer? Prayer can draw down something new, even if it was a decree against you or against the community. You can abolish it all through proper prayer. Torah, on the other hand, has the benefit of blessing and prayer, where it comes right away, and it can change things. However, there's one small glitch in Torah, one small thing that's lacking, where prayer has the advantage, is that prayer can only reach Chachma. If you need to bring in, draw in greater blessings, you can't bring it in. But Tefillah, on the other hand, goes to the highest. Rashbi, on the other hand, through his Torah, was able to, A, it came right away, and B, he was able to draw in where prayer reaches into Oyer Ein Sof, which is higher, obviously, than Chachma. So the question is, how was he able to do that? And Rebbe explains very simple. Because the Rashbi didn't just teach Torah. He taught, and this is key, Pnimiyus HaTorah. He taught the inner secrets of Torah. He taught Kabbalah, Chasidus, Mysticism, whichever way you know it in English. He taught Pnimiyus HaTorah. The power that Pnimiyus HaTorah has, that in Pnimiyus HaTorah, the light of Oyer Ein Sof is totally revealed. So when you're learning Chasidus, and you're learning Kabbalah, you're learning mysticism, you are connecting to the Oyer Ein Sof, and it's revealed, and through that you can channel in the greatest and most powerful blessing that exists. And therefore, when the Rashbi said that Torah, he was able to get guaranteed return, guaranteed blessing, and obviously from the highest places. Now the Rebbe explains practically how it works, why that's so. And the Rebbe says like this. Because what happens when you pray? Why is it that prayer is so powerful? So there's something which is called in the world of Kabbalah, man. Man stands for mayim nukvin, which means feminine waters, which means when a person puts in the effort. There's mad, which is mayim tchurim, which is basically, that's the easy flow of energy. But man is mayim nukvin, when a person puts in a lot of effort. When a person puts in a lot of effort, so it does two things. And that's what happens by prayer. One is it draws down the oir ein soif, which is higher than the shtalshlus. That's number one that it does. And also, it makes you a vessel to receive the light. Because if you draw down this powerful light and you don't pray first, you're not going to be a vessel to receive it. So you need to accomplish two things. So prayer accomplishes two things. Number one, accomplishes that you're drawing down this powerful light. And the second thing it does is, and just as important, it makes you a vessel for it. Can you imagine you have all these blessings, but you're not a vessel? Or you imagine you're a vessel and you have no blessing. The prayer does both. It draws down the powerful light, and it makes you a blessing for it. And Rebbe says that the Rashbi, by teaching Chasidus, by teaching Pnimius HaTorah, he was able to do two things. Drawing down this powerful light through Chasidus, and also making you a vessel to be able to receive it. And that's why the Rebbe says, interestingly, what did the Arizal cause to happen? He caused Yeridas Kshamim. He caused the power for rain to come down, which basically is the same idea of tefillah. Why? Because what's the whole idea of prayer? Prayer does two things. It draws down from the highest place, and it refines you that you're a vessel. How does rain work? So we all know it says in the Torah, "Ve'ed yalam in haaretz, ve'hishka es kol pnei hadama," which means that when the earth becomes moist, so then the rain comes down. So again, think about it. The rain is coming down from heaven, but why is it coming down? Because the ground is ready for it. So that's why he was able to cause the rain to come down, to send us a message that through learning Chassidus, what you do is you draw down the powerful light from above, but also you bring down, you make yourself a vessel to be able to receive, to receive the light. In other words, you refine yourself. So by learning Chassidus, it's supposed to do two things. Number one is it brings in its powerful light. But more importantly, and as important, the two components, it makes you a vessel to be able to receive it. And the Rebbe goes on a step further, and he says like this. So in other words, like this, just to recap, and then before we go a little further. Again, a blessing brings down light automatic, but only what it has. Prayer takes a lot of effort, but you get the infinite light. Torah study has a blend of both. Regular Torah study, where it comes automatic, and you're able to create new things that happen that's in store, at least al pi Torah, in the sphere of Chachma. When you learn Chassidus, you have the power of, it comes out automatic, like the blessing, but also it has the same effect of prayer, where it draws down the light from the Oyer Ein Sof, and as we learned, another component is it makes you ready and able to receive that powerful blessing. Now, the Rebbe goes a step further and he says like this. Why is there a difference between in prayer we say that I have to work real hard and it comes down from infinite light, but it doesn't come right away? In blessing, it comes automatically and only what's in store. In regular Torah, it can only come from Chachma. So the Rebbe says all these differences is in the level of the neshama, the way we are a Metzias. What does that mean we're a Metzias? The way the neshama is enclosed in a body, and this is I'm me, and you're you, and he's him, and she's she. So once you have a Metzias, then we have different levels. There's me and you. So we have, once you're creating levels, you're saying, okay, this is the level of Torah. This is prayer. This is a blessing. This is a regular Torah study. This is Chassidus. Over there you have all these different levels. And when in levels, you don't get everything. However, once you deal with the neshama, not as a level, But the way the neshama, your soul, is connected to Atzmos, to Hashem himself, then what's the difference? If you're connected, the neshama is connected to Atzmos, there's no blessing, prayer, Torah study, you're reaching the level of Chachma, you're connecting with Atzmos, you're connecting with Hashem himself. Now, where do we come to the realization that we and Hashem are really, really one? That's specifically where in Chassidus. When you learn Chassidus, when you learn Kabbalah, when you learn mysticism, what do you realize? Hashem, us, everything is one. So once you learn Chassidus, what do you realize? It's all one. So if it's all one, then there's no levels. And then you get the blessing automatically, and you get it right away. And that's why the Torah of Rashbi, when you learn the Torah of Rashbi, when you learn Chassidus, you come to the realization that we are connected not only to Oyer and Sof, we're connected to Atzmos. And once you're connected to Atzmos and you're learning Torah on that level, then the light comes right away. It comes from the greatest places, and we get the greatest blessings. Now the Rebbe explains, why did the Rashbi choose specifically to give his teaching on the verse, if your saying is, it's all about Chasidus and learn Chasidus, you connect to the light, why did he choose this one? He could have chose anything. Obviously, if he chose specifically this verse, there must be a reason. Rebbe says two reasons. Number one is because this verse speaks about in that psalm, in the third verse, about the way through Shevas Achim Gam Yachad, Ketal Hermon, the dew comes down from Mount Hermon. So you see there's a connection between rain and obviously that verse. That's what, on a very, very simple level, on a revealed level. But then the Rebbe says that the truth is, he gives another reason, because what is the whole idea? That what we say the Zohar says. The Zohar says that what is Shevas Achim referring to? It's referring to the way Hashem and the Jewish people are one. Gam Yochad, even the way we're down here in this world, we get distracted with the world, we remain connected with Hashem on the most powerful level. In Hebrew, it's called the Yichud of Kudsha Bricha Yisrael. The way the Zohar says. The Zohar says Shevas Achim is Hashem and the Jewish people. Gam Yochad, where we're totally one. Now, so what did the Rashbi want trying to accomplish? He tried to accomplish that we should be connected to Hashem on what level? Shevas Achim Gam Yochad, we're totally one with Hashem. And that's why specifically in this teaching that he taught, he actually spoke specifically about the idea of Avos Yisrael, that people should love each other. And he taught in the teaching that in the beginning, people were literally, I hate to say it, going to kill each other. There was so the opposite of Avos Yisrael that people were going to kill each other. Physically, spiritually, they were going to kill each other. But then, after he taught the teaching that we're really one. We're one, Shevas Achim, one with the other. We're one with Hashem. There was such a level, and I'll tell it to you in the Aramaic words, in the words of the Rashbi, Berichimusa de Achva. There was such a compassion and such mercy and love one for another. So he was able to create, through this teaching, true Avos Yisrael, which through Avos Yisrael, it created the real oneness between one another, which created the oneness between us and Hashem. And because of that, so he explains the words like this. Hine matev manoim, how beautiful and how sweet it is, Shevas Achim. Who is Shevas Achim? Referring to the love that one had for each other. Now, how did that come about? Because we realize the greatness of Hashem, so Gam Yachad, we were able to draw down the oneness of Hashem, that Hashem should be within us. So, and then he could continue on to explain the rest of the verse where it says, Kishemen HaToiv, the Rebbe explains. What is Shemen? We know Shemen is what? Is Chachma. Shemen HaToiv, what is the good Chachma? Pnimius HaTorah. So what happens is when a person learns Pnimius HaTorah, And we know that Soyer says that Shemen HaToiv is referring to Yisoid in the Sfirot, starting from Chachma down to Malchus. It's the second to the last Sfirot, Yisoid, but Yisoid of where of Atik. We know in Keser there's two levels. There's Atik, the higher level, and the lower level, Arach. So Pnimius HaTorah is connected to where? Not even Chachma. It's actually connected into Keser, the higher level of Keser, Yisoid. Yisoid of Atik is Pnimius HaTorah, and the revealed part of the Torah, Mishnah, Talmud, etc., is connected to Arich, the lower level of Keser, but the Pnimius HaTorah is connected to Atik. So in other words, the shemen, this oil which is chachma, the toiv, the better one, which is obviously an atik, which is referring to pnimis haTorah. So when shevas achim, when we get together and we love each other, how do we love each other? Not because we just say we love each other, through learning pnimis haTorah, and we're connected on a very, very deep level. So then we cause Yorid has alazakan skan Aaron, sheyorid al midosav, that we cause it to go down on the beard of Aaron, it goes down on the midos, and the verse says twice it goes down, which means it goes down into our chachma, bina, v'das. That means we understand Chasidus. We don't just learn it, we meditate on it, we understand it, and it goes down onto the midos and our emotions. And as Rebbe says specifically, it goes on to our levushim, our garments, where we're totally permeated in an intellectual way of Chassidus and an emotional way of Chassidus. Then what happens is we have true Avos Yisrael in a way of Shevas Achim. We're getting along, and up to the level of Yachad, where we totally become one with each other, one with Hashem. And when a person does that, you become a vessel ready to receive the tremendous blessings of Hashem. Which blessings? The blessings from Oir Ein Soif, that do not have a limit. Not even the limit, as the Rebbe says, of Chachmas HaTorah, because we said Torah only goes to Chachma, which is a limit. But there's no limit, which means we're not getting something from a limit place, from Chachma or Oir Ein Soif. We're getting from Hashem Himself. And Hashem will give us, and the Rebbe says, Rav Toiv, a lot of good, but not just good in the spiritual level. And the Rebbe says, Toiv Hanira V'Nigla, in a revealed way. And what kind of revealed blessings? Bebana, with children, chaya, life, which means sustenance, whatever you need to support your family and your community and your organizations. Umezoina, food, revicha, with tremendous abundance. And that's how the Rebbe finishes off the Chasidic discourse. So you see, this Chasidic discourse is an extremely powerful Chasidic discourse. Why? Just to recap on the verse, the way the Rebbe explains, based on the Zohar, is that Hine ma toivim na'im, how beautiful and how great it is. Shevas Achim, we get along. Everyone gets along. Why do we get along? Because we love each other and realize we're really, really one. Gam Yochad, then we draw down the infinite light of Hashem, Oir Ein Soif. And we do that by learning Chassidus. And what happens when we learn Chassidus, Shemen HaToiv, the Shemen HaToiv, the Chassidus that we learn, it comes down into our intellect and our emotions. And that causes us to receive and achieve the greatest powerful blessings. So let's hope and pray that today is Erev Lag Bomer here in America, and it's also Lag Bomer. We should connect to the teachings of Rashbi, the teachings of Chassidus, the way the Rebbe explains it, and we'll all be blessed by getting along, loving each other unconditionally, drawing down the oneness of Hashem in our lives, and we'll have the greatest blessings, and as the Rebbe says, without limits, straight from Hashem. Physical blessings, spiritual blessings. Today's a tremendous day for blessings. I want to wish everyone not only a blessing, but a blessing of Pnimius HaTorah, that we should all have right away in a revealed way. The greatest blessings, any change that we need within ourselves, in our families, our communities, we should be blessed with the greatest blessings of Chasidus, and we'll all have the greatest blessings of Mashiach coming. We'll be reunited with all our people that we love, that are here with us or not here with us, and will all merit to the greatest blessings of being with the Rebbe in a revealed way. Thank you so much for joining us for our class on Chassidus in honor of Lag BaOmer.